the average listener listening to this right now, they're like, who cares about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't care about it. You're 42 years old.
Yeah.
You got your job. You're laughing. Maybe it's like, it's not a big deal. 40 years from now, you will see how different things will look. When you look at Congress, 30% of Congress are going to be Muslims, and 30% of senators, and then all of a sudden, U.S. has a Muslim president. Yeah. And then, hey, what's wrong with that? Nothing's wrong with that.
Zero.
And now, and this isn't to fear that. This isn't to fear that. This is if you have a certain belief and you have a lot of pride in that, well, then show up and make some babies and raise some leaders and inject your philosophy into this, because Muslims get a shout out for absolutely doing that better than Christians are doing it right now. Christians, red. Muslims, green. Christians are not having babies like they once were having, and Muslims are having more babies. So if this is from Pew Research, and you got to trust Pew Research, they're not on one side or the other. They're just going to give you the data that they have. They don't.
It's facts.
It's not CNN or Fox. So go a little lower to see if there's any more data to look at here. Go a little lower to see if we have anybody else. Okay, there you go. So let's look at this one here. Estimated shares of birth and deaths. Compared to with their share number of overall 2015 population, Christians make up the largest share of 2010 deaths. Muslims, a largest share of births. Okay? Wow. If you look at that number, 31% to 21%, but Christians, there's more dying than being born. Muslims, they have 10% more being born than dying. And then if you look at the disparity by 2055 and 2060, okay, Muslim religion is going to get bigger than Christians in the world because Muslims are having more kids. If I'm a Christian leader at the top and I'm a leader of 1,000 churches, I'm probably having this conversation with my community. By the way, shout out to Mormons for having more kids.
Yeah.
They're growing their base more. I know this could be kind of funny, like we're being funny about it. I'm actually not.
Yeah.
I think if you really want to, your competition's having more kids than you are. Yeah. Okay? And there's going to be more population there to impose their way of thinking,
of course,
and believing, and they're going to outnumber you.
Yep.
Okay? So Christians, hey, go make some babies today, because that number is not looking good for you. The other day, this what's his name, the football player who wore that jacket at Super Bowl. Did you see the jacket he wore mocking Jesus?
Yeah.
Did you see the jacket?
Who was it? Damar Hamlin.
Damar Hamlin,
yeah.
the guy
that almost died on the field.
Yeah, and he was praying.
What?
Yeah, and the AOC said something about
he wears this jacket mocking Jesus. And
what is that?
Yeah, so he wears this jacket
after he was praising Jesus.
Do you know who called him out? Adrian Peterson pulls him out and tweets about it and says, "What kind of a thing are you wearing?" And then there's stuff in football right now saying you should tell him that privately, you shouldn't tell him that publicly. Adrian Peterson's like, "What are you doing?"
But this is the guy that almost lost his life for the Bills.
The guy that was like,
we should be freaking praying.
The guy that the first thing was, "Lord loves me," and God was looking at me, and then he did that.
So, but here's the point, though. Here's what they're going to say, though. Someone's going to say, "Oh, grow up, guys. This is called art."
Yeah.
This is called art. Really? No problem. Why don't you do the same art in Prophet Muhammad, and let's see if you'll call that art as well and we're in the Super Bowl.
Never again.
Go ahead and do that. But here's the point. The point is Christians tend to be forgiven, and they say, let it slide. Muslims are not
No,
going to
they
be
don't play
forgiven
games.
and say, let it slide.
No.
So there is that standard and expectation where if somebody sits, let's just say you have two kids. One kid you joke with, he takes it. The other kid you joke with, he says, don't do that again. That I don't like that when you do that in front of people. Okay? Yeah. Guess whose standard you're going to step up to as a parent? The kid that tells you, don't make fun of me in front of my friends. Yeah. That's exactly what's happening here. One religion's like, it's okay, let it slide. The other religion's like, no, don't do it. So not only are they growing faster, they're more disciplined.
100%.
They believe more. They have higher standard and expectations of their members. There's a more disciplined way of what you need to do on a daily basis. Praying, the level of commitment to that religion is much higher.
100%.
So that's what they're injecting, and they're gonna figure out a way to get into different communities. When you have a long-term thinking mindset, and your opponent does not, it's just a matter of time until you infiltrate universities, until you infiltrate educational system, until you infiltrate school systems, until you infiltrate building churches, until you infiltrate politics, until you infiltrate media, until you they're already doing it right now anyways. And by the way, this isn't if you're Muslim and you're a leader of Islam, your kudos to you strategically. Christians are sitting on the sidelines being very casual about it, and it's almost like the competitor that thinks, it's not a big deal, they're never going to pass us up. Okay, brace for impact, because it's going to come very, very quick.